Constitution. The court also has an appellate jurisdiction in respect of disputes under the general law of the land. The enforcement of such laws comes before the court for consideration and application. In performing its roles, the primary effort of the court is to achieve a balance in the relationship between the state and its people, and a balance between the people themselves in the other set of disputes, to create a society that is striving to accomplish the ideals and aspirations set out in the objective resolution. It is this balance which forms the critical essence of the rule of law, and that essence is the court's duty to secure. National values of public interest strongly indicate that the balance usually lies in favor of the people, but occasionally it requires the curtailment within reasonable limits of fundamental rights of the people for the collective good. Nevertheless, whatever the outcome of a case, the court's ultimate adjudicatory exercise is always focused to ensure the maintenance of a robust rule of law in the country, to ensure the meaningful protection of is a statement made in Benazir Bhutto's case in the year 1988. It opened the doors of its original jurisdiction under Article 184(3) to all and sundry by relaxing the procedural rules of locus standi that were being applied in the past. Due to this liberal interpretation, the fundamental rights of many vulnerable and marginalized groups have been enforced by the court on account of petitions filed by public-spirited persons. An example can be seen in Salman Akram Raja's case of 2013, in which the petitioners had challenged the practice of accused charged with rape obtaining acquittals by reaching out-of-court settlements with the victims and or their families. The court, taking cognizance of the matter, issued wide-ranging guidelines for the proper investigation and prosecution of rape matters, while also declaring that rape to be a non-compoundable offence. Again, in Muhammad Aslam Khaki's case in the year 2013, the court exercised its original jurisdiction to issue identity cards to transgenders. In suo motu case number 1 of 2014, the court took notice of the suffering of religious minorities and directed the federal government to constitute a task force for developing a strategy of religious tolerance in the country. In the petition regarding miserable conditions of schools in the year 2014, the court, to enforce Article 25A of the Constitution, which mandates the state to provide free and compulsory education to children between the age of 5 and 16, they directed the provinces and the Islamabad Capital Territory to set up accreditation boards to improve the conditions of schools by removing ghost schools and taking penal action against the absentee. Apart from enforcing the fundamental rights of marginalized groups in society, the court has also delivered landmark judgments to reinforce other dimensions of the rule of law. In this respect, the court has come a long way to become a champion for the cause of democracy in the country. Indeed, by burying the doctrine of necessity, which in the past had been resorted to justify the imposition of martial law in the country, the court in Sindh High Court Bar Association case of 2009 helped to usher in the current era of uninterrupted democratic rule in the country. Recently, the court had to intervene after the President ordered the dissolution of the National Assembly in April 2022. The court found the dissolution to be unconstitutional and ordered that of a parliamentary government in accordance with the provisions. This was because the Constitution bars the dissolution of the National Assembly during the pendency of a no confidence motion against the President. As a result of this decision, the detailed reasons of which are reported in the Pakistan People's Party parliamentarian case in 2022, the country witnessed for the first time since 1973, when our present Constitution was enacted, a peaceful transition of executive power within one term of the National Assembly. Subsequently, the then Deputy Speaker of the Punjab Assembly on 20 issued a ruling contrary to the provisions of the to render a correct interpretation of the Constitution. Of the affairs can only be made if all political parties come together to follow the established democratic practices and perform their respective roles in Parliament under the Constitution. A purely political impasse does not have legal solutions. It can only be resolved by leaders and their parties. The break a political deadlock. As it is our sincere hope that the political leadership of the country shall take necessary corrective steps and confidence-building measures with public and national interest as their foremost consideration. Moving on, the court has extensively engaged with which in recent years has gathered much interest both locally and globally, namely the climate crisis. As before, in Shaila Zia's case, it was recognized that a healthy environment for the well-being of the people was necessary. The court said, in the quest for economic development, one has to adopt such measures which may not create hazards to life, the environment, and pollute the atmosphere.